Deep July. Deep July, and parts of Dallas drop from the skyline. Previously, epoxy places atop towers always turn toward the sun. My chest hurts. Thudded breastworks in place since the late 1970s. My lunch sits along the rim of my bowels, displaced periodic with gasped intestinal, post-appointment blues contracting my throat while my tie blandly suffers secretions. Live oaks on the sidewalk, this dyspeptic place. My 43rd birthday. My funk is never ending now. My face always flushed, always needing to be washed. 3 joints give me trouble. Left knee from softball, back from the waterbed, right index finger from a fight with my son. Do we all come to a point, maybe now for me? I know I'll never be stronger than I am now. We'll never throw a baseball over 90 miles per hour. Never try out for the high school football team. Not now. I park too far. I weigh too much. I don't work out enough. I have to sit down and wipe my bald head. 4 feet of shade, 1 bench, a lady, and some bird shit. This is the hard, insoluble part of it. I want you to take a pipe, lead or steel, 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch thick, something a man could grip, threaded ends. I want to be hit with such a pipe, something to make me feel. I want to drive headlong into a light pole, watch it split the windshield and come down on me. How much of this is me? And how much is Dallas? Well, I like Dallas. I know it at least, and that's something. Closer to home, I see a young Lake Highlands mom in her Suburban, ignore a stop sign, grooving incessant to cell battle, scattering crepe myrtle blossoms across the street. In Dallas, we confuse old with historic and used with antique. No real history, only what we are writing now for our kids. And I am right there with this city. No past written down, only what I might do next week, only what my children remember, like how I hate to be hot and live my life in Dallas. A few lines regarding you. Today's hard rain hasn't broken the North Texas drought. And while my shoes dry to the tune of a fan that claims its arrival with every RPM, I play an old Otis Redding record and imagine that your hand is a branch, your mouth a berry, and your tongue a vine. These images are lost on you, I know, just as your grasp of what is immediate and obtainable is beyond me. Your legs will never kick me in the head, and I will not wake up with your hair in my face or your breath on my neck. You will not touch the scar on my chest and wonder who had shot me, and if the face I made at the point of impact resembled the face I made when your fingers clasped my neck and all my trust and insecurity flowed from me into you. You would see no point in my writing this, and the only thing brought about by knowing each other was this poem, which you will never read. Journal notes on death and friends. Knocked down monkey grass and truncated flora, the indigenous text and picture of a patio life, the never withered, soon fulfilled solution to February and her angst. Mars has never been so close, and still I can't define it. Standing with my dog, searching for what amounts to another moon of another star in a capacious scape of dots and blips. The barren fig tree and her unarmed guard of dwarf maple and Chinese hedge unfurl against the train track and latter-day orchards. Then the night, the early, unremitting night of February. I've seldom counted friends, fear or disdain, the parallel tracks of my own discomfort, the only place I know to lay my head. Every day carries its own torch. Each tomorrow is salve and hospice for the words we used. No lesson is learned too late. The summer of 2000, I remember as predictable. Dallas in retreat. The sun's pogrom against the hardy. One friend I always counted said she was sorry 3 days before she died. Everywhere, the residuum of conversation, roots of memory and regret. Those of us who have never taken the cure grow unbridled. Still, no lesson is learned too late, or ever really learned. The bougainvillea stem, dangling from its perch and listening against the outer breeze, naked in her shelter, wanting of nothing. Along my border with the neighbor's yard, our ivies commix and bind onto the wooden post. My dog tussles the grass, paws the gate. Every night we walk, every night we come back. Plums. Just now, as I finished reading your letter where you told me I made you feel again, I remember I left 2 plums sitting in a bag on the kitchen table. I opened the brown bag, and by the weight of each fruit, choose the sweeter and hold it close to my nose, inhaling what has taken a week to develop. With my palms down and thumbnails together, I press into the flesh and wince at the first squirt, pulling apart skin and lapping the juice. Already a bruise forms, and the motion of my thumb and tongue bring more sweetness to the opening. Pulling it, and playing like a child might with a loosened tooth, I nibble at the meat and suck away the liquor, tugging at the pit that stands abruptly out from the meat with the tip of my tongue. In a shiver, the fruit is gone, and I can relax with my sticky fingers and sugar-coated lips and lie in the grass outside my door, imagining you and how like a plum you must be. Until now, I assume to be near you is to be with you. But these are 2 different things, the one wanting of the other. My mother wore her black dog like a stole. Every morning I torque my legs from under these sheets, fooling gravity once again, against the grain and past the fields, onto the tar-stained roads of North Texas. These white days, not misted or showered, dirt hanging in the wind. Shifting, I take a rise, only to shift again on the descent. Here the traffic is known, few surprises and little effect. The faulty wiring in my head, like the cracked crossbeam on my bike, unnoticed. Sweet disintegration of time, the dismembering of thoughts with moments left, still to reapply myself to go forward or turn as I wish. Something bitter rises in this dark dirt of Texas. Across the breach of my tongue, I write it out each day, peddling past fields and fences, the land demarcated and enslaved. I earned every inch of cotton or sorghum, plowed or fallow, past county lines in gingham dresses, trucks and trucks. My mother wore her black dog like a stole. Still she does. Every day she hands it to me, the only legacy she has, and yet, wind bent and soul sallowed, to the top of the crease on 380, past the catfish hunters and the spooning teens, the waterbirds rise and freewheeling I fall, with only the checkered edge of day to challenge my smile. And the last piece, a poem only half about myself. I can smell the melancholia in the bedsheets, a rumpled feeling all around. Everyone looking down at mouth. The dog still licks her wound, hidden in the shadow of the desk. There is no sense of release, yet we look around and hope. Go in fear of abstractions, of course, but what then? I can't expect the clock to stop, as if it were my father's heart. The hedgerow stands with its roots unearthed, and somewhere my mother calls, and I bring a shovel. I expect I will still rebel long after I cover them, and still I expect to obey them. Everything that happens to me happens to my friends. After all that, we sit back and wonder what the doctor will say about our liver or some other piece of the eternal apparatus that wasn't even hurting when we walked into his office. The doctor still walks through the door, and your mother's hand, vaginal and quiet, comforts you and the tendencies of middle age. And after a while, she tears at your shirt, and you become her confessor.